Ali said, my name is Carrie Van Wassen. I am the Assistant BSA Security Officer with Farmers Bank, and that is just a fancy way of saying I deal with the fraud here at the bank. So tonight we're talking about fraud, but as she said, I have a passion for elder financial exploitation. So I want to take a deeper dive into that. And I really want this to be interactive. So if you all have any questions, please feel free to reach out, raise your hand, send them in the chat. If you think of something a week or a month down the line, I'm going to provide my email and phone number. Please reach out. I will do everything I can to get you the answer. So also let me say this presentation is not my own. I've made some adjustments, but this is put out by the FDIC and the CFPB. It's Money Smart for older adults. So we are going to jump right in. And actually, I pulled a FinCEN advisory today because I wanted to read these numbers and explain why I am so passionate about this. So FinCEN is the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, and they put this advisory out June 16th, 2022, that 72,000 suspicious activity reports, which are reports that we file for any fraud or elder financial exploitation, anything that we have, we file a SAR. But 72,000 SARs were filed related to elder financial exploitation. That was an increase of 10,000 SARs over the previous year's filing. And the estimate of the dollar value linked to elder financial exploitation has also increased from 2.6 billion in 2019 to 3.4 billion in 2020. So that is the largest year-to-year increase since 2013. So you can see this is why I'm so passionate about this. We deal with it a lot. So, all right, what is elder financial exploitation? I know a lot of people think elder abuse and you're thinking the physical or psychological, emotional aspect of it, which are all forms of abuse, but we're going to specifically focus on the financial side. So by definition, it's the fraudulent or otherwise illegal, unauthorized, or improper act or process of an individual that uses the resources of an older person for personal benefit, profit, or gain, or actions that result in depriving an older person of rightful access to or use of benefits, resources, belongings, or assets. So simply put, elder financial exploitation it's the theft of money, property, or belongings. So, and while we're talking about elder, let me go ahead and explain. So a lot of banks or financial institutions offer products for their older customers. So maybe 50 or 55, they'll offer a special deposit account that have perks to it. When we're talking elder financial exploitation, we're talking customers over the age of 62 because that's when they become a federally protected class. So just keep that in mind. So who is at risk? Everyone. It knows financial exploitation knows no boundaries. Specifically, elder financial exploitation crosses all social, educational, and economic boundaries. But I would say the most vulnerable are going to be your socially isolated, poor physical health, cognitive impairment. Any of that is going to make someone more vulnerable than another. But again, financial exploitation, it can happen to anyone at any time. So why are older adults at risk? I really feel like the lonely and socially isolated should be the number one on this list. Because think about it, you're lonely, you're by yourself. What do you want? You want companionship, right? You want a friend, you want somebody that you can talk to and trust. So I feel like, to me, that should be the number one. But the regular income and accumulated assets, we're talking our elder population, they've worked their entire lives. They have the steady income. They've got what they've saved their entire life. They're more established. They tend to be more trusting and polite, vulnerable due to grief. Obviously, if you've lost a loved one, you are going to be more vulnerable. Reluctant to report exploitation by a family member. So no, I don't want to say nobody, but most people don't want to think that their family member would do anything like this to them, and they certainly don't want to get them in trouble. So that is a risk. If you're receiving care from a person with financial issues, then they may know that you have money and that they can take advantage of that. Fear of retaliation by the exploiter. Unfamiliar with managing financial matters. So a lot of times in a household, one person takes care of the finances. And when that person is no longer around for whatever reason and you're left with them, you don't really know exactly how to manage them. So you have to learn, and that could put you at more of a risk. Or not planning for the potential loss of decision-making capacity. Of course, none of us, I don't think we ever want to think about that. We have to be prepared, but a lot of times we aren't. Or again, cognitive impairment or being dependent on a family member. So some examples of financial exploitation, and I'm going to go deeper into these. Some examples would be exploitation by an agent under a power of attorney, investment fraud and scams, theft of money or property by family members, caregivers, and home helpers, famous lottery and sweepstakes scam, the grandparent or imposter scam, tax and debt collection. How many of us get phone calls from numbers saying that you haven't paid your taxes, or you get a call that your car warranty has expired? We get these all the time. Charity scams, telemarketer, mail offer, or salesperson scam. And then we're just going to quickly telephone, computer, internet, identity theft, contractor fraud, and reverse mortgage fraud. But again, we're going to get deeper into these. So who are the abusers? I know a lot of people don't want to think it, but family members and caregivers, it's more than you realize. We see this a lot. They know the person's daily routines. They know the person, they kind of know where they financially are. They know their vulnerabilities, and they play on them. As sad as that is, they take advantage of it. Friends, neighbors, or acquaintances, agents under a power of attorney, and financial advisors. Strangers, these are the ones that are calling us, like I said, with your Social Security has been compromised, or your car warranty, or your life insurance policy. They're the ones that are going to do the romance scams and call and harass you. And we've got internet scammers, home repair contractors that come in and do the work, or halfway do the work, or don't do exactly what they're supposed to do. Medicare scam operators, you name it, they are out there. So why don't older people want to report financial exploitation? I'm going to say that the shame and embarrassment is definitely a huge factor. They don't want anyone to know that they've fallen for it. I personally have a family member, very smart, has a master's degree, fell for a scam, and it happened because they called her house, and she was smart enough not to answer it there, but they actually called her work, and she was an educator, and so she was at school in her classroom, and her principal came and got her for this phone call, and she was so shaken up and worried about it. She ended up falling for it, and she was so embarrassed. She didn't want to tell us about it. So that is a real thing. Loyalty to a family member or caregiver. Again, most people, they don't want to turn in a family member for doing anything wrong, or a caregiver that, they've welcomed into their home. Fear of retaliation or fear of not being believed. Dependence on the abuser. If you're depending on these people to take care of you, or go get your groceries, or help you out around your house, you don't want to report them, because then you're not going to have that. Denial, self-blame, lack of awareness, these are all other reasons. So who can help? There are lots of people that can help. And as a matter of fact, at the end of the slideshow, there's a chart that's going to show what type of scam and who you can call, and it'll have resources for you. And I'm happy to provide this so that you can have all of the slides and all of the resources. But Adult Protective Services, I have them on speed dial. They definitely willing to help. After hours, they have a number you can call, or you can reach out to your local office. You can find that information at eldercare.gov. Local police, if it's immediate danger, you can call 911, or definitely utilize the non-emergency number and call and file a report. They want to help, they're happy to help, and they will work together and do all that they can. If you have concerns from a financial aspect, your bank, credit union, any financial institution, we are always willing to help you and talk to you. And if we can't do exactly what you need, we are happy to point you in the right direction and get you the resources that you need. If you have something with credit, you would have to reach out to your creditor, but again, we can provide that information to you. So if you are ever, or someone that is a victim of financial exploitation immediately. This is so important because the faster that you report, the more likely that we'll be able to help you. These people are typically asking for cash or gift cards or something that's not easily traced. So the faster we can get the information to Adult Protective Services or law enforcement, the more likely that we'll be able to assist. So if you ever find yourself or someone you know a victim, please report it. So abuse by caregivers and in-home helpers. Again, we talked about family members. It's often a family member or someone that you've gotten close to that is going to take advantage of your situation. Unfortunately, they know your weaknesses and they know how to play on those. So ways that you can help safeguard against that: make sure that your financial documents are kept somewhere private. Make sure you know where they are, but if you can, do a safe deposit box or a fireproof safe at your home, somewhere that you can put them that they're not laying around for other people to see. If somebody's going to the grocery store for you, or they're going anywhere and making a purchase for you, ask for receipts. Make sure that you get those so that you see exactly what you're paying for. Monitor your bank accounts. It amazes me the amount of people that I guess just don't pay attention or don't look as carefully as they should, and don't realize how much money is actually leaving the bank account. So make sure, even if you're not comfortable with doing online banking, get a statement, get a monthly statement, or even if you just go up to your bank and ask for a history on the account, they will print that out for you. If something comes up in between when you've gotten your last statement and when your next one's coming, we're always willing to help. Consider setting up automatic bill pay systems. These are wonderful. If you're not comfortable doing that, they do have transaction alerts. I know credit cards, for example, if you're at a restaurant, a lot of times if you set up an alert, you'll get an alert on your phone before the waitress even gets back with your receipt for you to say, hey, your card has been used. So set those up. There's also ways that you can turn on and off cards. I know a lot of companies have that. You can turn your card off until you want to use it and then turn it back on. That way it can't be compromised. Do not let hired caregivers open your mail, pay your bills, or manage your finances. Never promise money or assets after you die in exchange for care now. We don't want to do that. We want to be taken care of, and we don't want to make any promises. Never lend employees money, and never let your caregivers use your card. This is an important one too, because even if they give the card back, it's easy to take the information off of it, and then you can go online and use it. They can pass it, they can sell it to somebody else, they can give it to somebody else, and then your information's out there and it's used before you even realize that it has happened. So make sure you don't give those out. Have someone help you read your financial statements if you're not comfortable doing that or you have trouble reading. Secure your valuables always, and get a free credit report. You can always check your annualcreditreport.com and get a copy of it. Allie, also keep me on time. I forgot to mention that because I don't have a timer with me, so make sure I'm staying on track. All right, we're going to skip past the investment safeguards. Anytime you invest in money, you want to make sure that you're checking the firm. You want to make sure that you know the background of the company. You don't want to just invest with anybody. That's a big decision. So just make sure that when you are doing anything with investments that you research, lots of research. Don't trust strangers, no matter how trustworthy they sound. Take time to understand it. You can say no. People are going to pressure you. Just say no if you're not comfortable with it. And if it's too good to be true, it's not always, but if it's too good to be true most of the time, it probably is too good to be true. Ask for a written explanation. Be wary of financial advisors who tell you to leave everything in their care. You do not want to do that. You want to make sure that you're still in charge of your money. And we're going to skip past document your conversations. Don't put everything all in one basket. Those are just good pieces of advice. If you do have a problem, again, timing, take immediate action. If you see a problem, do something about it. Do not let the embarrassment or the shame stop you. Please report it so that we can help you. All right, so telephone and internet scams. These we see all the time. The grandparent scams. This one really bothers me. It plays on the emotional side. They'll call, they may know the grandchild's name, and they'll say, I'm in trouble. I've been in a car crash. I need money and I need it right now. I need you to wire me the funds. A lot of times they'll disguise their voice. And if you're talking about older people, a lot of times their hearing may not be as great. So even if they don't disguise the voice, they might just not hear them. And they're so stressed about the situation that they truly believe that it's their grandchild. And they'll tell you they don't want the parents to find out, to send them the money. We've seen this a lot, and it happens more often than you'd like to think. IRS telephone scam. They'll call and say you owe money for taxes. They'll use a spoof number. I don't know how many of you get phone calls all day long that I'm in a 757 area code. I'll get 757 numbers, and it's nobody I know. They're spoofing the numbers to make it look like it's someone else. They'll use names and fake badge numbers. They'll know some of your information. They may even know the last 4 digits of your social. That it does not mean that it's a legitimate phone call. IRS, they'll also threaten jail time if you don't pay your taxes, or they'll hang up and call back and pretend to be the police or someone else. So here we go. The IRS always sends a written notification by U.S. mail. If the IRS wants your money, they're going to do more than call you, I promise. They're not going to ask for payment via credit card over the phone, and they're not going to ask for personal or financial information over email. So if you do believe that you may owe taxes, hang up, call the IRS, call the number for the IRS. Don't call the number back that called you. Call the number back or call the number for the IRS and find out from them, or you can go to one of the websites. So lottery and sweepstakes scams, a lot of times they'll call, they'll email, they'll even send these checks and say that you've won a certain amount of money. They'll want you to send money to pay for upfront fees, and they'll want you'll deposit this check, and then by the time the check comes back that's fraudulent, you've already sent the money out. You're out the money, and guess what? Your bank expects you to pay that money back. Unfortunately, people fall for this all the time. The number one thing I would say, if you didn't play it, you probably didn't win it. A lot of people don't even think about the fact, did I enter a contest? They didn't enter one. They just, all of a sudden I've won. You don't have to pay to play. If you win a lottery, if you win something with the lottery, scratch off, that's it. I mean, you might pay the $1 for the ticket, but you're not going to have to pay upfront fees. Be suspicious anytime somebody's telling you to wire funds. That's a big red flag for us, especially overseas funds. Pay attention to warnings from your financial institution. I cannot tell you how many times we will give someone a warning and they don't believe us, because these fraudsters are good. They know what they're talking about. They know how to play the game, and they will convince people that what they're saying is accurate. And then we'll try to tell them that it's a scam, and they don't want to believe it. But trust me, we've seen it, we've heard it, and we're here to help you. So if we tell you that it's a big red flag, please know that we're very serious about that. Be wary of requests for secrecy. If they're telling you not to tell your family members that you're taking money out, or they're telling you, I had an incident one time where the individual mailed money inside of books. They literally told her to put cash inside of books and send them. And I'm thinking to myself, doesn't this seem a little odd? If it seems a little, even if it's just slightly weird, it probably is. So just be wary of that. The phantom debt collection scam. They'll try to trick you into paying a debt that doesn't exist, basically. They'll use threats and scare tactics. They'll have information about victims, and they won't want to answer any questions. We're going to go through these pretty quickly. Ask for the debt collector's name. So if you are starting to fall for this, ask for this information. If you don't recognize it, ask for more information in writing. Typically, if you don't recognize it, it's not going to be your debt. You have the right to get a breakdown of it. Don't give financial or sensitive information. That goes for anything. You just don't want to give that information out. And keep copies. Always keep documentation of things. Charity scams. Let's get to the safeguard for charity. They're pretty self-explanatory, but ask for the information of the charity and then go do some research. Go online, research it, and make sure it's a legit charity, because a lot of times they're not. going to use, they're going to use a name that's close, but it's not going to be a true charity. And then keep a record of all of your donations, so you can look back and say, oh, okay, this does make sense. Pay by check or credit card. Again, don't send cash. If they're asking you to send cash or they're asking you to wire money, be cautious of that. Be very cautious of that. Computer and internet scams. So phishing is something we see a lot of. They look like real emails. I'm sure that some of you have gotten text messages on your phone where it says you have a package that is supposed to be delivered, click here. Or if you get an email that says, click this link, do not click it. That is something I stress to everybody. You don't want to get click happy. Those are typically not good links, and they're going to take you somewhere where you don't want to be. Email spoofing, they're going to use an email address that's disguised to look like that of somebody that you know, but it's not. And you have to be really careful with these. Sometimes I'll just add one letter or one symbol in there that looks just like the one you're used to. So make sure you're paying careful attention. Telltale language. We suspect an unauthorized transaction on your account. To ensure your account is not compromised, click here. Again, do not click. Go to your account, look at your account yourself. Just don't click just any link. Our records indicate your account was overcharged. Call us. Look up the number of the company, look up the real number and call. Don't call the number that they send with it. So safeguards for computer and internet. Use trusted software. Do not email financial information or account numbers. Be cautious about opening attachments or clicking links or downloading files. Use passwords that are hard to guess. Use multi-factor authentication. That's a good one. Shut down your PC when you're not using it. Don't rely on caller ID alone. Like I said, do your own research. That's very important. When you're responding to a phishing attack, again, don't open a message from an unfamiliar sender. If you don't recognize the number, I would suggest not opening it. If you do happen to open something, delete it. And I'm a fan of if you do something that you're not sure of, go take your laptop or your phone to someone and have someone scrub it, have them check it out, and make sure that you didn't get anything dangerous on your phone that's going to put you or make you compromised. And this just talks about that. Delete anything identified as a problem. Change your password. I know passwords are a hard thing right now. We're having to have 12 to 15 characters, a capital letter, a sign. You can't use the last 20. They do get complicated, but it is good to change your password often, and it's good to use a hard one. We don't want to just put password as password.
Carrie, we're about 5 minutes out from the end of your speaking time.
Okay. All right. So we're going to quickly, identity theft. A lot of people experience this where someone's getting your information. They can buy it online. There's lots of ways that they can obtain it. If that happens, ways that you can safeguard that, just direct deposit is a great one. But incoming, outgoing mail, make sure that you're cautious of that. Make sure you're not giving out your information. Your personal information is your personal information for a reason. Again, monitor bank accounts and keep documentation for things. If you are a victim, put a fraud alert with a credit reporting company. Make a report. Again, timing is everything. Call, make the report. We will do what we can. Request copies of your credit report. You can usually get at least one free one a year, or place in a freeze. And I talked about earlier, you can freeze your cards. You can put a freeze on your credit report also. This is just information of how to reach the FTC. And again, I will give you all this information so you'll have all of these. Protecting documents, make copies. Again, if you have a fireproof safe or safe deposit box, or if you can store them electronically, or give a copy to a loved one, just make sure that you have documents and you have them somewhere where you can access them, but they're also kept safe. And this just talks about that same thing. I wanted to get to, here's the chart that I was talking about earlier. So this gives a good breakdown of the types of scams that are out there. It gives a description, and then it tells you who you need to contact, and it gives you a way to contact them. And we're going to provide you all with this so that if you feel like you've been affected, you know who to reach out to. And again, you can always reach out to APS or local law enforcement, or you can reach out to me. I'll do whatever I can to help you.